On September 11th, the World Trade Center and the Pentagon were attacked by hijackers who used our planes as the weapons of destruction. Within hours, artists mobilized around the world and used their creativity putting together projects such as concerts, auctions, benefits, websites, and collaborative efforts to raise money for the disaster relief agencies. Memorials and tributes sprang up within a day. By September 12th, a strong sense of patriotism had flooded across the nation. Artists all over the country had a desire to do something to help or to heal. The visual experience of seeing the September 11th events had an overwhelming impact. For many artists, it created a need for a visual response, a need to express, a need to communicate.
On Friday of that week, I went down to the studio and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I was going to just sort of maybe work on an old painting or whatever, but I found that when I was down there, the images that I'd seen on TV were rolling around in my mind, and I thought, gee, I wonder if I could paint some of this, you know, that if it would be helpful to me in some way to just get these images onto canvas. So when I talked to my husband, I asked him to go down and look at my painting. And he came upstairs and had tears in his eyes when he saw the painting and gave me a big hug and said it would be really great if you could show this painting to people.
Within hours of September 11th, artists across the country gathered together to join in reflections, support, observations, and personal expression through their participation and collaboration in various projects. One such project was taking place in Portland, Oregon, at the Savage Gallery.
The way I got involved in this project was through Tracy Savage. She contacted my shop and really wanted me to set up a print shop within her gallery that would facilitate artists' needs in trying to create a community center to respond to the bombing. And got 2 presses the next day, and we were able to get materials and supplies from people in the community, from a lot of the art stores, and we were up and running within a week.
An important part that artists play in any community is to be articulate, creative, mindful presence that injects the community with imagination and creativity in hard times as well as good times. And we're kind of here to bounce off good ideas off of each other and encourage each other to be positive and creative instead of negative and violent. So it's a positive alternative.
I was lucky enough to have been taking a printmaking class at Portland State University when I first heard about this project, and our class came down here to produce prints just after the events of 9/11. And the print that I worked on, I was hoping to somehow capture that feeling that even though things look the same, there's really a loss of security, that things are very much different than they were just days before.
It's such a huge event. It was such a big tragedy. I don't think it could not affect an artist's work, and I was already working on stuff at home, but I liked the idea of being in the community, seeing what other artists are doing, and also just the fact that if the print sells, the money goes to the Red Cross, so it's a win-win situation all around. Came out better than I thought it would. Thank God.
It has. It's felt good to come out and be able to do something. I know that on the Wednesday after September 11th, I went down to the Red Cross and waited in line and tried to give blood and just kind of answered telephones and wanted to do something. I felt crazy sitting at home. And being able to come here and see people doing such productive things with their time and making art and donating that money to the Red Cross has been really inspirational, and feeling like there's something positive coming out of it has been nice.
The sidewalk became a canvas to illustrate feelings about the event.
I was trying to find a way to express this week, you know. So I thought I'd do it with music, visually with music.
We made a flag for the nation, and we just put God bless America for our country.
Just came by, and he was just saying that his sister was one of the people on the 101st floor of the second building that was bombed, or a plane fell in. And so he colored in a heart for her, and her name is Lynn.
Teachers were using art as a way to open up a dialogue about the events. High school art programs changed their topic focus by having students create pieces to deal with their feelings. Displaying the work in public places at schools helped to provide a sense of community and an outlet to express emotions about this terrible incident. Throughout the country, university art-related programs also made changes to curriculum, put on symposiums, and created online resources. Other professors had their students create pieces to deal with their emotions.
What I'm trying to do with my work is to find channels in which reality can be perceived more directly, more emotionally, and more rapidly in real time. And likewise, when I give my students assignments, such as the assignment I gave them on September 12th, in relationship to the event of the preceding day, I wanted them to work on the aspect of fear, because fear is something we often suppress and we often try to hide away because it's unpleasant, and we rarely really deal with it. So I asked my students to make banner ads to make banner ads which deal with this sudden perception of fear, and which make that a more manageable and make that an experience that they're more conscious of.
Vibeke Sorensen had her class at USC address the events of September in their work.
They've decided to each reflect on something from the actual event, from images they saw in the news, or stories that they heard, or reports of phone conversations between people who are on the plane and their families, and then link them all together. And it's going to be a group project dedicated to the victims of the September 11th attacks.
Organizations such as Artist Cares were created and mobilized to help school children and families in community centers in the New York City area. Alan Lines, the creator of the organization, says, "The primary purpose of Artist Cares is to promote healing through creative expression." They were reconnecting the community. Artists were dealing with issues head-on, and they saw their work take shifts as well. One such artist, Victoria Vesna, was in Germany, set to open a show on September 14th on the subject of 3D environments, avatars. After the attacks, this seemed irrelevant and trivial, and she changed the focus of her show to deal with the events of September 11th.
There is no way I could do the show I was planning to do. The theme of the show was avatars and others, and I have to say that at that moment it just seemed absolutely irrelevant, if not stupid, and I just didn't know what to do. But I felt like I had to do something. I felt I couldn't travel back. I couldn't just sit there. And I felt a kind of a responsibility to do something.
Cellular Transactions is what Victoria's new show became. On the opening night, people shared their feelings by talking on cell phones in the gallery. The conversations were streamed live and then recorded for later access on the web.
Hopefully this becomes a kind of a record of a different type of a narrative and a record of how interconnected we are.
Artists also saw their work taking unexpected turns. Brett Simon tried to create a space for reflection, a kind of lullaby.
I started making this video on September 11th to comfort myself while waiting to hear from my girlfriend in New York. Usually in my videos I like to push buttons, wake up the audience, wake myself up. But on that day I didn't need any more buttons pushed. I tried to create something where my eyes and ears could rest, where my mind could slow down. I needed a lullaby.
Vibeke Sorensen used a piece she was doing called Sanctuary and made a tribute at the end of this piece to September 11th.
A part of my project will be dedicated to the memory of those people who lost their lives. Like the spontaneous spiritual sanctuaries that arose around New York City with for instance, the candlelit memorials and so on. We need to find a way to heal, to honor those who lost, to show our solidarity with the values of the people who lost their lives in trying to help other people, especially the firemen.
Artists use the web to create and share their messages. Nina Meledandri created one such site called the Art Project, Artists Respond to Terrorism. This statement can be found on Nina's site. In times of tragedy such as we are living in now, art is of the utmost importance. Some of it will heal, some will provide hope, some will convey anger, some grief, and some a political message. It is all important. Calls for artists to join together to collaborate were sent out on email. Projects were taking place from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon, and everywhere in between. 2 such projects were taking place in the Bay Area.
The WTC Memorial Art Project is a collaborative art project for only artists of the San Francisco Bay Area. Many kids are also participating because we have art teachers involved, so that's great too. And their figural works bisected and arranged so that the bisected figures on either side, so that when you put the mosaic together, they form whole individuals again. When I went into this, I didn't really have any specific goals other than I needed to do it. And I think that a lot of other artists just needed to do it. They needed to do something in response to the tragedy because it was such a moving ordeal for all of us.
I started the Art for America benefit because I wanted to give Bay Area artists an opportunity to use their art to do something positive for people in New York who'd been so deeply affected by the horrible tragedies on 9/11. It's very interesting to see how different artists have interpreted the tragedy, and it's thought-provoking, it's interesting, and so I wanted to give Bay Area people a chance to see the art. I believe very strongly in the power of art to heal, both in the creation of it, in the viewing of it, and in the giving of it.
In Washington, D.C., the Wall of Expression at the Smithsonian served as a symbol of hope for the future. It was created by the staff using art as a tool for healing.
Staffs at the Smithsonian American Art Museum and the National Portrait Gallery got together and wanted to do something as a collaborative project to express how we felt about what happened on September 11th here in Washington and in New York City. We decided to do something visual since we are visual art museums. So we painted the mural that's behind me here on the wall.
We have a number of panels out here, and staff members got their inspiration from many different places. Some things like a portrait of George Washington or a wreath came from objects in our collection, and that was used as the inspiration for these pieces.
Sometimes people use inspiring quotes that they knew, and other times they just used images that were familiar to them, either in our collection or in other ways. So it was really great to see everyone come out and work on it. This one is mine. Because I didn't have faith that I could draw the Capitol and the thousands of people who turned out for the candlelight vigil, I just decided to focus my image on 3 candles. But I do remember, seeing that vigil and what a powerful image it was about people out there just remembering and coming in, just feeling the sadness and being affected by the tragedy.
Chose this John Lafarge painting, this wreath. We have it on our website, and it was painted in 1866 to commemorate the losses in the Civil War. So kind of thought that sort of tied in nicely.
I designed this panel to honor the memory of my friend David Charlebois, who was co-pilot of American Airlines Flight 77, which crashed into the Pentagon on September the 11th. So I wanted this memorial to be a traditional design. So we have the Weeping Maiden with her shield of stars and stripes, the stone coffin with David's name inscribed upon it along with the date of his death. We also have the weeping willow tree, which was the symbol of mourning and sadness in early 19th century America. I also painted this panel, which portrays the weeping willow tree in a cemetery. And while I was painting the panel, a woman walked up to me, and I was talking to her about my friend David, and she said that she knew a little girl from her church who was on that same plane, and the little girl's name was Asia Cotton. And after I heard about that, I decided to put Asia Cotton's name on the gravestone here in on the cemetery as a remembrance of her, the little girl.
People who live in this neighborhood, people who work in the buildings that surround our museum, that didn't personally work on this project, but they came by on a daily basis to check our progress and to see how the images were developing and to enjoy the finished product. And it was really wonderful to bring art to people, especially art that was relevant to the time and in a time for us as a museum where our doors aren't open to the public because of the construction, and people who often, find sanctuary within our museums aren't able to do that right now, but they are able to come and look at this wall and see what we did and enjoy it on some level and take something away from that, and I'm very proud of that.
The Internet proved to be a powerful tool to reach out and create collaborations across the nation and share efforts. Arts organizations, as well as individual artists, were creating community spaces for artists to submit their work dealing with the September events. Their reach was global. One, 911groundzero.org, was a virtual web gallery presenting work by various artists. And another came online on September 11, 2001, called Why? Art about the attack on the World Trade Center and Pentagon. This is a multilingual online collection with contributions from over 30 countries, serving as a symbolic expression of freedom. It was created by Bill Bartee, an independent artist based in Dallas, Texas. Artist Jeff Gates launched a website called Dichotomy. It was a matter of time and place. In this site, he asked people to submit stories about their day on September 11th. He was focusing on the juxtaposition of these stories as a way of reflecting what we were all feeling. Time and place were very important that day. And Natalie Germanjenko and one of her students captured emails and had a computer voice read them in their project.
Where there was a great deal of email communication where people were just checking on each other, and it's extraordinary. The record of those emails is, I think, an extraordinary monument of the social networks and the networks of concern that crisscross the city and the nation.
Dan, are you okay? My cell is down. I'm sure you are busy, but just send an email. Have you heard from Grandma and Jeff? Where will you go? Will you go home? Are you going to work? If you go home, then you're by yourself and you have no way to contact anyone. Phones are out. You should email your mom. It seems like the only thing that's still working.
The solidarity of artists throughout the world was evident after September 11th. They used a multitude of skills and creativity to reach numerous audiences. This was evident through all the projects that cropped up across the world so quickly and soulfully.
I believe as artists we can take a step to building a world that is more strong, more compassionate, and more beautiful by building tools and building projects and making pictures and making experiences that make us more aware of our own feelings and of the world around us.
Long after the many memorials, tributes, and philanthropic events are over, artists will undoubtedly develop insights into the impact the September 11th events will have on the way we live. Whether printmaker or designer, painter or writer, the world learned the valuable role and responsibility that artists have in these extraordinary times. What a difference a day makes. On Monday, we emailed jokes. On Tuesday, we did not. On Monday, we thought that we were secure. On Tuesday, we learned better. On Monday, we thought athletes were our heroes. On Tuesday, we learned what a hero really is. On Monday, we were irritated that our rebate checks had not arrived. On Tuesday, we gave money to people we had never met. On Monday, people fought against praying in schools. On Tuesday, you would have been hard-pressed to find a school where someone was not praying. On Monday, people argued with their kids about picking up their room. On Tuesday, the same people could not get home fast enough to hug their children. On Monday, people were upset they had to wait 6 minutes for fast food. On Tuesday, people didn't care about waiting 6 hours to give blood. On Monday, we waved flags signifying our cultural diversity. On Tuesday, we waved only the American flag.
You know, as much as I am, saddened as everybody is about the horrible, tragedy and what's happened and so on, I really would like to do something to help people move ahead in a positive way, and I see that art can do that.
It's been great to see how many artists and community members have come out and supported the artist response. It's such a positive, I think, and creative alternative to what's happening in the world, so it's good to see.